Microphone so far away.
Hi, team. Got on my late night DJ voice again. Good to see y'all. How y'all doing? Doing good? How'd you like live earlier on? You'll enjoy it? Have to say, I'm feeling very, very proud of all you guys and all the work that you've been doing. Like seriously proud of you. I've been, as you know, I'm so active in all of the comments and just watching everything you've been writing and all the work you've been doing and all the homework you've been doing. You really have been doing like amazingly well. So I am super, super, super proud of you. And I cannot believe tomorrow was the last day. I was doing something there. I was working on something and I was like, is today the last day? Like, what day is today? Is it Wednesday or is it Thursday? I was trying to figure out what day it was. I hate the light shining in this picture behind me. So I always like to try and that way or that way. I always like to try and make sure that I don't have like my ring light. I really need to get like a more sophisticated setup here. But I do actually have a beautiful office. I just sit with my back to the wall when I really should be sitting with it looking the other way. But it really doesn't matter what it looks like. It just matters what you're hearing and what I'm teaching. So how y'all doing? Here we are again for another Q&A today. What are we going to talk about today, or what are you guys going to ask? Start throwing your comments or your questions into the comments so that I can answer them. I'm just going to say a few hellos. Don't forget you have to accept StreamYard's terms and conditions. So we have Leanne Bancroft is saying hello. We have Dawn is here again. Good to see you. We have another Facebook user saying hello. We have Nikki Ralph is saying loving this whole week. I have loved being here with you guys. I have to admit it's been exhausting. But it always is exhausting during a launch or during a challenge, because there's obviously all the energy in the group and I'm trying to respond to as many people as possible. And of course, whenever I finish these lives, I'm sure you've all noticed, I then go into the comments and I make sure that I answer any comments that I've missed. So it's just go, 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 go. The energy never stops. So I'm glad that you guys are loving it. And Kimberly is here as well. Hello, Queen. Hello, Kimberly. How are you? We have a couple of other Facebook users saying hello. And we have Dorothy and we have Marie De Paulo is here. Hello, how are you? We have Debbie is saying hello again, loving all this time with Kim. Well, I am loving having you guys. Actually, let me say a few more hellos. We have Cami. Hi, Cami. We have Catherine and Terry. And Facebook user says, at least you're not in your G-string today. Actually, I am in my G-string today. I was just coming out of the bathroom and Maya was videoing me. So I'll have to show you. This was me just walking out of the bathroom. It's so bloody warm. Like, it's raining today, but it is so freaking warm. So I was actually just walking out of the bathroom a minute ago. That's our big board. Like, what is this? And Maya was like, it's just videoing me from the kitchen. I'm like walking around in my G-string. That's how I just dander out of the office, like literally with just a t-shirt on. And the team are like looking at me like, what the fuck is she doing? You never know what the hell is going to be happening around here. Sometimes you can come in at like midday and find me sitting at my desk drinking beer. I always keep beer in the fridge in the office. Can I tell you something? Years ago, whenever I wanted to start my own company, I always committed. I always said, when I start my own company, I'm going to give everybody who works for me everything that I always wanted to have. Like, I'm going to have beer in the fridge. I'm going to be like, if anyone wants a beer on a Friday, you just take one, you drink it. You know, if you need some personal time off to go on an appointment, that's fine. You know, everybody here works so hard. They all work overtime. They work evenings and weekends and, you know, and through lunchtime. Like, I don't think anyone here actually takes a lunch break. Everyone just works and does their thing. And, you know, and then whenever they need to, they take whatever time they need. And that's why I always wanted to run my company. And we're just very chilled out and relaxed around here, but that's the way it should be. You should be happy at work, right? You shouldn't have, you know, work should be fun as it can be. And as long as you show up and you do the work and you do a really good job and you're committed, do whatever the fuck you want around here, really. It's actually Christina cracks the whip. It's not me. She's the whip cracker. She's the you've probably seen her in the groups answering questions. Christina's my COO and she is literally the whip cracker. And I'm the one who goes, yeah, it's fine. Yeah, take the day off. It's fine. Sure, no problem. And I'm always getting myself into trouble. So yeah. Anyway, I am in my G-string today. So what else? What have you guys got for me today? What questions have you got? I am here for you for the next 60 minutes, as long as you want me. And I am here to answer all your questions. So there's Christina saying, LOL, whip cracker. Yes, she really is a whip cracker. So what else have we got? A couple of nice things coming up here. Love this. Loved your discussion the other day about shifting your energy, having a headache, then resetting so you didn't feed it more, make it worse. Here's one of the best things that you can do. I teach this to people all the time. Just while we're waiting for the questions to come through, I'm going to teach you something else. So I did this. I did this. Well, I do this with people all the time. And actually, I'm sure Laura won't mind me sharing this. She's probably watching going, oh God, Laura's always in the hot seat. What is she going to share now? But Laura's an open book. She doesn't mind me sharing anything. But I was doing like a session with Laura one day. I do these sessions with my team. We all have a company coach, but I can help to work people through their issues, like their fears or their limitations. I'm sure if you guys have been part of the mindset series, you would have seen me do it there in the self-sabotage series. I can take someone through a process and break stimulus response pattern. So I was sitting chatting to Laura one day about this issue she was having, and I got her to bring up the memory that was associated, and she was bringing up the memory, and she said, something along the lines of, I needed this person to love me in this way in order for me to feel okay. And I said to her, well, what if you didn't? What if when the person hugged you or gave you that love, it was you brought up the feelings of feeling okay. They just made it easier for it to happen. And she was like, or whatever. She was like, she was really kind of fighting it because she wanted to believe that, it was her grandmother that made her feel safe. And I said, okay, do me a favor. I said, close your eyes. And she was like, okay, so close your eyes. I said, can you bring up the feeling of your grandmother hugging you? And she was like, yes. And I said, bring it up. Like, what does it feel like? And I said, imagine that she's there. She has you on her knee. She's hugging you. She has her arms around you. Can you feel that feeling? She was like, yes, I can feel it. I was like, make it stronger. And I said, amp it up, make it stronger. And so she was like amping it up. And then she started to cry. And I said, can you feel it? Can you feel what it feels like? And she was like, yes, I can. I can totally feel it. And I was like, okay, open your eyes. She opened her eyes. I was like, your grandmother's not here. And she was like, oh, I said, you brought up those feelings all by yourself and your grandma's not here. And she was like, oh, fuck. So I said, what if you could have done that anytime? What if you always brought up the feelings? Being with your grandmother just made it easier. So she was like, shit. And so that's when she had the integration. And so what we don't realize is quite often we think that we need someone to take care of us or love us or do something with us in order for us to feel okay. But what we don't realize is it was us all along. It was just easier when someone hugged us or comforted us or brought up these, helped us to bring up these feelings. Like I said earlier, when you look at a photograph of someone you love, you get a rush of feelings. It isn't the photograph that causes that. It's you that causes that. And you can do it without the photograph. So what I do is I teach people to amp up their feelings and amp them back down again. I do it with people whenever they're angry as well. I say, okay, can you remember how angry you felt? And they're like, yeah. And I'm like, okay, like, tell me about the anger that I said, bring it up. And they bring it up in their body. I'm like, what was the anger? Like, I was so angry. I'm like, can you make it stronger? And they're like, yeah, oh yeah, I can. Can you make it really strong? They're like, yeah, I can. Oh my God. I'm like, you really as angry as you can go. And they go, oh my God, I'm so angry. And then I go, okay, amp it back down. And they're like, what? I'm like, amp it back down. And they go, and I'm like, see what you did there? You made it stronger and you made it less. So whenever people think that they can't control themselves or they're like, I just couldn't control myself. I just had to get so angry, I just lashed out. I'm like, no, that was a choice. Now you did feel in that moment that you didn't have any other choice, but you did. Just because you told yourself you didn't have a choice didn't mean you didn't have a choice. You did have a choice. So whenever you teach people, and this is a great skill for you to teach your children. I always used to teach my children to amp it up and then amp it back down again. And I used to encourage them when they got really, really, really upset. I used to encourage them to make it stronger and stronger and stronger and stronger. And once they reach the peak, then they naturally come down. But the problem is we spend all of our time suppressing children and trying to stop them from feeling the negative emotions, that their negative emotions never peak. But if you don't let the emotion peak in children and then come down the other side, they never learn that what goes up will come down. But then as you grow into being adults or more mature, you begin to realize you can bring it up and you can also bring it back down. So it's the same with state control. Like if I'm feeling a bit headachy or a bit tired or a bit whatever, if I focus to dwell on that and amp it up and up and up and up and up, which is what people do who love to suffer to get attention, they will make it worse and worse and worse and worse and worse. Then that's completely a choice that they make. Or you can choose to recognize, shit, I'm feeling really quite crap today. And you can amp it back down again. Or you can do something else to distract yourself, or you can change your state. You are not a victim of your body. You're actually fully in control of your body, but quite often we don't know this. We genuinely think that the beast of anger rises up inside of us and we just can't control it. And we scream at our kids or at our partner and we let loose. But really, it's just the anger came up, and rather than amping it back down again, it just felt better to release it, because anger and shouting or yelling at someone is really just a discharge of pain. That's what it is. Every time you punish someone, or or you have like a little snide comment at them, or you yell at them, you're basically just discharging pain in your body. But you can just dumping it back down again. You're completely in control of your emotions. And honestly, if we taught this to our children in schools instead of cumulus clouds and World War II and Pythagoras' theorem, I think we would be in a much better place as adults. Do you not agree? Like, do you not think if we actually taught this kind of stuff to children in school, like the stuff that really matters, that the world would be in a much better place? But no, we don't. We teach them about Pythagoras' theorem and pi, and that's great if you're going to become a mathematician. But has anyone here actually used Pythagoras' theorem, or what was the other one? Uh, quad some, oh, I can't remember. I failed high school math. But I'm a multimillionaire. Figure. You don't need math in order to make money. That's another lie you've been told. Right, let's get into the questions. Kim's had her little, I've indulged myself long enough now. So time to get into the questions. What have we got? I'm just scrolling through them. Oh, I love this. Okay, I'm just gonna indulge myself a little bit more here. I've been doing personal development work for years, from Tony Robbins' early days. I learned more from you in 4 days than I have from everyone else put together. I don't know who this is, but I love you. Thank you so much. So this makes it all worthwhile for me. Whenever I see how much you guys have learned and changed and grown, like, it really, really makes it all worthwhile for me. Okay, what we got here. Emma, can I ask, how do you get over the disappointment of not making progress quick enough? Emma, this is really, really easy. You have to set out with no expectations. If we never have expectations, we will never be disappointed. Do you know where I first realized this? I realized this. I had like a natural integration once. I was in Australia with the kids and Ryan, and we were going out for the day somewhere. I can't remember where it was. And I remember getting there, and it took us a long time to get there. And like, I'm not a big sightseer, like all the kangaroo parks and everything. I was like, seriously, I'd rather not go and see the kangaroos. Like, I don't care. Like, take me to the pubs and the restaurants, but I really don't want to see the koalas and the kangaroos. It's just who I am. I'm not a sightseer. So we went out this day anyway, and it took ages to drive there, and the kids were cranky. And by the time we got there, and there was just a bit of, and Ryan's parents were trying to do their best, obviously, to show us around and entertain us and provide, a nice outings and stuff. And whenever we got there, I was just a bit grumpy about the whole thing. I have to be honest. I was like, I don't really want to be here. And I was like, I thought it was going to be different. And whenever we got back that night, I can't remember why I had this realization, but I had this realization that the only reason why I'd been cranky during the day was because I had an expectation of how it would be. And then how it was didn't actually match my expectation. And I had this moment of awareness where I thought, shit, the only reason why I'm disappointed is because the reality did not match my expectation. And imagine if I went through the rest of my life having no expectations, I would never be disappointed. And it was like this light bulb went off in my head. So the reason, Emma, that you are disappointed at not making progress enough is simply because you have an expectation. Now, here is the really important thing. Your expectation isn't based in reality. And this is where people get confused and then disappointed. So I want you and everyone here watching this to try to reframe how you think about life in a completely different way. So think about it this way. You're like a scientist. Every single time you embark on something that you have no data on, no solid, consistent data over time, you are a scientist. You are creating a great big experiment. You're conducting, an experiment. And can you imagine if scientists were conducting experiments and they add a little bit of this and a little bit of this and then a little bit of this, and then they waited a day or two to see what happened? Can you imagine if they got disappointed every time what they thought would happen didn't happen? Or can you imagine if they were like, fuck's sake, this is ridiculous. I'm just going to go and eat a cream donut because this experiment I didn't get the results that I wanted. No, they don't do that, I imagine. They're curious. And they're like, oh, interesting. So that and that didn't equal that. I thought it would, but wow, I was wrong. I was incorrect. What about this and this? And I imagine petri dishes and droppers and them in white coats and whatever. And so scientists are not emotionally invested in the outcome. They just add this and this and this and this and this and this to see what happens. So what they have is a hypothesis. I see myself as a scientist, really. So they have a hypothesis of how something might go. So they say, I think that if I do this and this, I will get this, but I'm not sure. And so they test, if I do this and this, what happens with this? And sometimes their hypothesis is correct. And other times their hypothesis is incorrect. Now, here's the interesting thing. When your hypothesis is correct, you have learned nothing. Nothing. So when your hypothesis is correct, you thought this and this would equal this. If it turns out to be correct, you have learned nothing because there was no failure. Now, if this and this didn't equal this, but equaled this, now you have learning because you now know that this and this equals this. You'll be able to take that information into the future and apply it somewhere else. How does this apply to bodybuilding? Well, the reason why people get disappointed, just for those of you who've just joined with the question, the reason why people get disappointed of not making progress quick enough is because they have a hypothesis of how things should go. And then when it doesn't go their way, they get angry or upset or sad or disappointed. But it's completely crazy to do so because just because you think you should get results faster, or just because you are invested in getting results faster, or you want results faster in order to stay motivated, doesn't mean that it's going to happen faster. Doesn't mean that you deserve them, doesn't mean that you've earned them, doesn't mean that you've worked for them. And maybe you have worked as hard as you can possibly work and you still didn't get the results. Well, why would you choose to be disappointed? Why would you not just choose to take that data and say, okay, wow, so obviously doing this and this does not equal this. So either this that I wanted is out of reality and it's not possible, and I just need to reframe my expectations, or what I was doing wasn't enough to get to here. So whenever you have a hypothesis of, you think, okay, because whenever I did my first bikini show, I was like, I am going to get lessons, bikini posing lessons from Natalia Mello. Like, she's one of the judges in Butt Camp. Natalia Mello was a bikini Olympia champion. She was living in Belfast. She charged £250 per session. Everyone else was charging like 15 or 20. And I was like, I'm going to the bikini Olympia champion. So I had a hypothesis that if I diet and I do this and I follow this plan and I have Natalia Mello as my coach, I saw it in my head how it was all going to go. I am going to glide onto that stage. And I spent all my time in cardio, watching posing videos, watching the Bikini Olympia girls, looking at, things. I did all the research. So I had a hypothesis that if I got lessons from Natalia Mello and I followed the plan that my coach gave me, and I got the most amazing bikini that I could possibly find, and I did my tan with an inch of its life. I remember I shaved my entire body. Like, I shaved my whole body for that show. Like, why? Why would you do that? But I thought I just wanted to make my presentation flawless. And I got hair extensions, really bad clip-in hair extensions. And I just imagined how I was going to look, right? And see, whenever I went out on that stage and I stomped across it like a baby elephant in heels and did my posing routine with Lisa's like crazy, like aeroplane, like what do you call it? Helicopter arm, because you're supposed to present yourself and then stand and then hands on the hips and then boom. And now that I'm very, very, very practiced at posing, I could walk out on that stage really, really confidently, and I could stand and I could pose because I've done it a million times, just like these lives. Natalie, my PI, said to me earlier, you're so natural in the lives. I don't know how you do them. I said 7 years of experience, Natalie. But I had this hypothesis that I was going to stand on stage and I was going to look a certain way and I was going to pose a certain way. I was convinced that if I just did this, and this, I was going to get this result. The result was I stomped out on stage like a baby elephant in heels, swung my arm like a helicopter, like was bending over in my posing when I should have been elongating the torso. It was completely different to what I had imagined in my head and what I had wanted and what I had expected. But I wasn't disappointed because I knew that I had tried my very, very, very best. And that's a real key point here, because if you have tried your very, very, very best, if you have tried your hardest, if you have followed the plan to the letter, to the best of your ability, and you don't get the results, well, then it was either the results weren't possible in reality, which is very important to acknowledge. Sometimes what we want and what is possible in reality are two very different things. Either you have to acknowledge, okay, what I wanted wasn't possible in reality, or maybe my plan was flawed. But why would you get disappointed? Why would you not just look at the data and say, oh, okay, well, this didn't work to get this, so I'm just going to try again. I'm going to change it up. I'm going to do all these different things. I'll tell you why. because you're maybe not you, Emma, but people who get disappointed are too invested in the short-term result. They're emotionally attached to losing 2 kilos this week. If I only lose 2 kilos, if I stand on the scale and I've lost 4 pounds, it will all be worth it. And they place all of their happiness on this magic number on the scale because they're emotionally invested in it. And they stand on the scale at the end of the week and they're not 4 pounds lighter, they're only 2 pounds lighter. They put in all this work. Why did I not get this result? But they haven't accounted for any facts such as like their period is due, or they're carrying more water, or they had more salt the day before, because there's so many variables they don't know. Like when you eat a lot of salt, water follows salt. Your body will hold water. My body can fluctuate by up to 5 pounds a day in weight because of water. So the problem is when we're emotionally invested, okay? This is the world the way I want it to be. And this is the world the way it is. And when these worlds are close, you know what we call this? Happy, 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 happy. And when the worlds slide apart and they get a little further away from each other, and I go over here, you know what we call this? I'm really sad. But the problem with this is your expectation and this is reality, okay? You would be much better to be completely and utterly invested in reality, because do you know what happens in reality? Data. It's like, I'll try this thing over, I'll just chuck out this thing, I'll try doing this over here. Where did that go? What happened? Oh, didn't get what I wanted. It's like you throw out a cause and you see what comes back. What effect will come back? So whenever you're invested in reality, there's no happiness or unhappiness. There's just data. I tried this, I got this result. Oh, wow. Wasn't the result that I hypothesized, but that's great. Now I have more data. Now I can try this thing over here. Problem is we become too invested in the short-term result, and then we allow ourselves to be thrown off track whenever we don't get the result. But really, quite often, and you don't have to say if this is true for you, but this can be true for a lot of people. And I only know this because I've heard it from other people. I've never, ever, never done anything like this ever, but I've heard other people, no one in this group or anything, but other people in other groups. I've heard that what happens, or people make like little bargains with themselves, and they go, okay, well, either I need proof that this program works, or the other one is, if I lose 4 pounds by Friday, I will stick to the plan. And if I don't, then the little internal voice goes, I'm going to let myself off the hook and I'm going to have that pizza on Friday that I always want to have. But if I lose 4 pounds by Friday, then I'm going to stick to the plan. And Friday comes along and they lose 3.2 pounds and they go, oh, well, I'm a failure. Didn't work. Let's order pizza. So quite often not achieving your goal is a way that you let yourself off the hook. Not you or anyone in this group, other people in other groups. But I've heard that can happen too. So you really have to be honest with yourself, but you also have to separate the reality from the data. Sorry, the reality and the data from your emotional attachment to it. Because when you're emotionally attached to the outcome, that's when your worlds slide apart and you become very unhappy. But if you are not emotionally attached to the outcome and you see yourself as an experiment and everything is just data, it means nothing about you and you don't have to attach your happiness to it. Love it. What else have we got? Oh, okay. Take one of these. Dawn, are you opening the competition during the morning live or during the Q&A tomorrow? You guys are all very interested in the competition, and I'm so excited that you are, because it is genuinely the most exciting thing I have ever done in the company ever. I'm not even kidding. The whole team is so excited about it. We are opening it tomorrow during the live. So you're not going to want to miss it. If you don't want to miss out on one of the limited spots that we have available, you want to show up tomorrow. But also, I'm going to be giving away free one-to-one coaching sessions tomorrow to anyone who shows up live. Not everyone who shows up live. We're going to choose from all the people who are on the live. We're going to choose 3 people who are on the live at midday. And we'll probably do it again in the afternoon, but so you have 2 chances to win. We are going to give away 3 one-to-one coaching sessions, one with me, one with Laura, and one with Marketti. And it's a roulette as to who you get. So we're going to give away 3 one-to-one coaching sessions just as a bonus for showing up live. You're going to have the chance to win that tomorrow. So you don't want to miss tomorrow. Oh, okay. Sorry. I have to take this one again because this is really important. Will mindset continue to be a part of the new challenge? I am coaching every Monday in the new challenge. And I am the Sculpted Vegan Mindset Coach. So we have well, the Sculpted Vegan Everything coach actually, but we have 5 coaches. So during the new challenge, you get a small group Zoom coaching call, not like this in a Facebook group where you're just commenting. It's Zoom where we get to talk to each other. So I'm doing Monday, and then I'm not sure what the other days are. I know Laura's doing Friday, but in between you have Mark Getty, you have Vanessa Burgess, who a lot of you will have met in the group, and then you have Rachel, Dr. Rachel, who's actually a menopause expert. She's actually a certified doctor. Can't remember in exactly what, but she's very, very, very knowledgeable. So 5 of us are going to be doing Zoom calls every single week. I'm going to be doing the Zoom call on Monday. It's going to be anything you want to ask. It's all questions open floor questions. Or if you want me to teach something, I can teach something, but you are in control of what I am going to talk about on a Monday. And then of course I'm going to be in the group every single day during the challenge, and I'm going to be hosting some of the live Q&As as well. We're going to be doing a live Q&A in the Facebook group, so you're going to have so much more of this over the next 5 weeks because we have a full onboarding week as well. So you have 5 weeks of Kim plus coaches doing loads of mindset stuff. So the answer is yes. Nikki Ralph, Nikki, you've asked about kids. Can you touch more on how to encourage our kids and help them not to have the baggage we have? I can't talk about this here because this is specifically to help the women who've joined this challenge, but I definitely can touch on this at some point. Loads of people ask me about this on Instagram, so I think I'm going to do some kind of live Q&A on Instagram at some point. So if you don't follow me, make sure you do. It's at the Sculpted Vegan, and I'm definitely going to do some more of that on Instagram. But it wouldn't be fair to the other women here who are here for themselves, not for their kids, for me to touch on that. But it is a great question, and it is something that I will definitely work on in the future, or bring up in the future. Okay, could somebody come in and open my window, please? I could get up and do it, but then I have to leave the computer for a minute. I'm literally about to melt into a puddle of sweat here. So could one of the team who's watching this come in and open my window to try and get me some air flowing, and maybe leave my door open as well? Sorry, someone will appear. Ta-da! And it's the lovely Natalie. Could you open that window and leave the door open as well, Natalie? It's like a sweat box in here. I'm absolutely boiling. Right, what else have we got? There's loads of questions about the 4 week, actually. Natalie, close it over a wee tiny bit, my door, just to keep a bit of the noise out in case people are clattering around. Sorry, guys. It's a whole conversation here with the office. Right. Okay. Kimberly is saying, I know sleep is huge for one's health and well-being. And now that I can sleep more, I fully take advantage. Is 5 to 6 hours of sleep nightly enough, especially on programs like the upcoming 4 week challenge? I think sleep is a very personal thing, Kimberly, and I would not pretend to be a sleep expert in any way. I can't say that I know how much sleep is needed for each person individually. But one thing I will say about sleep, one thing that I have learned is that I get my deepest and most restful sleep before midnight. So I need to be in bed asleep no later than 10:30 p.m. at the latest. Normally, I am in bed by 9:30. My husband and I turn the light off by 9:45, and I am sound asleep by 10 p.m. And when that happens, I wake up alert at 6. Now, quite often, sometimes if I'm really busy or I'm teaching this challenge, whatever, I have a lot going on in my head, I don't get to sleep till about 11. And the interesting thing is when I sleep at 11, I don't wake up till 7. It's not like I wake up at 6. My body is programmed to need a full 8 hours of sleep. And so if I go to bed at 10, I wake up at 6. If I go to bed at 11, I wake up at 7. If I go to bed at 9, which I often do, I wake up at 5 naturally. So I need 8 hours sleep a night. Ryan needs about 7.5. I need 8 hours sleep to function fully and feel recovered and feel well. Now, I train in the gym 4 days a week. I used to train 5, but I only train 4 at the minute. And I train really, really, really hard in the gym. Like I was doing 100-kilo barbell rows yesterday. I looked at Mark and I was like, what the fuck are you doing, you maniac? How much weight do you have in that bar? And he was like, sure, come on, you're good for it. 100 kilo, that's 220 pounds. Bent over barbell row, right? But that's where you row it in. It's a back exercise. And today my back is wrecked. Like it's not wrecked, it's not sore, but it's muscularly sore. So whenever you train as hard as I do, you really do need sleep. Like your muscles don't grow in the gym. Your muscles grow when you're resting. When you're sleeping, that's when your muscles grow. Your muscles get broken down and ripped apart in the gym, but then they rebuild whenever you are sleeping and resting. So you need to try to get as much sleep as possible. I wouldn't honestly say that 5 to 6 hours is adequate. Now, if it's all you can get in order to squeeze in more in your day to achieve a goal, then yes, it's fine. Whenever we were putting this challenge together, I'm going to sneeze. Excuse me. Whenever we were putting this challenge together, whenever I came up with the idea for this challenge, which really was only a month ago, So we have literally done 6 months worth of work in a month. The whole team has. We're exhausted, to be honest. But whenever I decided to put this whole challenge together, I was getting to bed probably at around 11 and sleeping till 5. And I would get up at 5 and I would work in the morning. I would get a good solid 3 hours work in before then I would go back home for breakfast and then I would go to the gym. And I was still managing to ride my horses, go to the gym, spend time with my kids and work. I didn't see a lot of my family, in fairness, but I was surviving on about 6 hours sleep a night. Now, that was fine for about 3 weeks and all of the emotional stress and pressure that goes with it as well, the mental fatigue. But that was fine for about 3 weeks. 3.5 weeks, I think I did it for. But then I hit a brick wall and I went away with the horses actually to an international where you sleep in the horse lorry and it's like camping for the week. And honestly, I did nothing but sleep. I slept and slept and slept. I was taking like 90-minute naps during the day, going back to bed at 10 and sleeping through till 7 or 8 in the morning. I slept and slept and slept for a full 5 days. I came back completely recharged. So you can have a shorter amount of sleep for a shorter amount of time or for a period of time whenever you're really pushing through. But then at some point, you're going to have to catch up. So it won't kill you, but it isn't ideal. Okay. What else have we got? Just looking through the comments. Natalie did offer to send them all through to me in a WhatsApp, but I said, no, actually, I quite like reading through them all here. There's loads of 4-week shredded body ones. I'm sorry for those of you who don't intend to join, but I do want to take a few more. The 4-week shredded body, is it open to males as well? Your husband or your significant other can support you during the challenge, but unfortunately they can't enter the challenge because it's not fair to put males against females, because men will usually, because they have a higher amount of muscle mass, achieve fat loss results faster than women. So the results will always be better with the same program. Also, men would need a different meal plan and calorie structure, which we have not provided. So the short answer is no, but they could do the program along with you or do the training along with you to support you. Okay. What else have we got? Oh, I love that. Oh, you guys are so lovely. I don't know who this is. Oh, it's Lenka. Because of my shift work, I'm skiving now to write this, and my kids not being able to join in live sessions. I've watched all the replays. I must say, amazing this masterclass is. Amazing you are. Every single day is an eye-opener, and I hope I can put everything into practice. I love you so much. Thank you so much for writing such a lovely message. You guys, honestly, the messages I've been reading from you in the Facebook groups and the messages of tribute pouring in, you've no idea how much I love it. I know that you love it, and I know that you're feeling that it's really helping you. But it's so lovely to hear it. So I just want to say thank you for everyone who's really taken the time just to write a special message of tribute in the group. I read every one of them. They really, really warm my heart. And they make everything I do worthwhile. Okay. Peering over the top. Hello. Michelle, why is food such an issue? We know abs are made in the kitchen. So now I'm 52. I'm going to try and stop here so you can see my face. And I have eaten a la menopause, which is our menopause program she's talking about. I have done your shreds following the meal plan and lost weight. I get in my head with how to eat and what is the best way. It makes me nuts. Is that a big deal? If I'm in my macros, doesn't matter if I have a potato. I have lost weight on all your shreds, but then again, do a shitload of cardio. I have a feeling your answer and then the rest of yours didn't come up. Here's the thing that you have to know. If you are counting macros and calories and eating in a calorie controlled way, then you don't really need to worry about following the menopause shred principles, because you're controlling your macros and calories. So the menopause shred principles that we teach in all of our menopause programs are no white starchy carbs, no fruit, no liquid calories, 30 grams of protein within 30 minutes of waking up, and 1 cheat day every week. Those principles are designed to be followed as a way of life. So it's not that every woman in menopause should follow those principles religiously. It's that if you're not counting macros and calories, you should follow those principles. But in our meal plans, like in the one now that we're doing for the 4-week shredded body, it's calorie and macro controlled. The calories drop week by week. There's an enormous amount of food in it, because you know me, I always pack a lot of food into my plans, even if they're very low calorie. So there's an enormous amount of food in it, but it's macro and calorie counted. So therefore, there are things like sweet potatoes and oats, and there's actually some fruit in there as well. There's blueberries, and there's actually frozen berries in there. Like a lot of the oatmeals and things have frozen berries to eat with them. And so it doesn't matter. You don't have to follow the menopause principles if you're eating a macro and calorie controlled diet, because you're already controlling your calories based on your specific needs and fat loss goals. you only need to follow the menopause shred principles religiously if you are not following a macro and calorie controlled diet. And you don't even need to follow them religiously. As long as you follow them 90% of the time, you'll be fine. But really, if you want to have a, but then don't forget, you get a cheat day every week as well. You get a day where you have a healthy breakfast and then you eat anything you want. So save all of your things that you really, really want for that day. But pretty soon you'll realize it just becomes a way of life. And like every morning I have scrambled tofu with a side of lentils every single morning. And some mornings I get up and I go, I'm going to tell Lee, who's our chef. I always say, I'm going to tell Lee, I just want some white toast this morning because I really feel like I need the carbs for my brain. And I go down into the kitchen. He goes, Brecky. And I go, oh, yeah, please. So he then puts my breakfast in front of me. And I think, well, I'll eat this first. And if I still want the toast afterwards, I'll have the toast. See, by the time I finish my scrambled tofu with my lentils, I don't want the toast anymore. So it's an amazing thing happens when you eat this way continually. Your body just becomes used to it. Okay. Laura, I hopefully didn't mind me sharing. Loads of you are saying things like this. I've just joined this live. What a natural integration. I'm fascinated. So, I think maybe you were talking actually about me having if you never have any expectations, you won't be disappointed. But hopefully Laura didn't mind me sharing her story. Okay. How do you deal with people who always want to dull your sparkle because you want to better yourself in life, whether it's your appearance or business, etc.? Okay. Great question. Two things about this. First one is that people do not judge you. Whenever people limit you, they limit you through their own filters, not yours. So if someone wants to put you down or tell you something isn't possible, or they want to limit you in some way, they're giving you their internal beliefs. They're not judging you by yours. So whenever I first started my business, a lot of people said to me, like, it's not possible. Or my husband was like, do you really think there's enough women in the world, vegan women who want to look like a bodybuilder? I was like, yeah, I do. And he was like, how do you know? I was like, because I spend time with these women every single day online in Facebook groups. I've done a lot of research. He just couldn't see. He was like, I just don't see how this is going to be successful. But he didn't see how it was going to be successful because he was judging me through his own filters. He didn't know anything online. He didn't know whether there was a market or not because he didn't spend any time in that community. So because he'd never seen it, looked for it, heard of it, he'd never interacted with vegan women apart from me, he just couldn't see how it was going to be possible. And I was very happy to prove him wrong. So you have to understand that people will judge you based on their own fears and limitations, not on your fears and limitations. Very few of us actually see other people. We only see ourselves in other people. Second thing is, quite often when someone puts you down or wants to dull your sparkle, as you've said, it's because you've triggered an issue within them. So do you remember whenever I said in an earlier question, hopefully you were here, this is the world the way it is, this is reality, and this is the world the way I want it to be? So let's say my husband, and this is a true story. Let's say whenever I first started the business, I went from being full-time stay-at-home mom, teaching yoga, whatever, and being always available. Ryan and I used to sit in the evening. I would have been on my computer. He would have been watching Netflix, but we were together, in the same room after the kids went to bed and stuff. And then on weekends, I was free. And he never had to do anything with the family or the kids. He used to come home, eat his dinner, leave his plate on the table, wander off, have a shower, and then lie on the couch and watch rugby for the rest of the night. Whereas I ran around and did the kids. And sometimes he would bath the kids. He wasn't completely useless, but he certainly wasn't like a 50-50 thing. And neither should it have been because it was his job to earn the money and it was my job to stay at home and look after the kids. But a little bit more support would have been nice. Can you tell I'm bitter about this? Or not really. I'm not bitter at all anymore. Per Ryan, if you ever listen to these lives and he realized how much I slagged him off, he would be horrified. No, he wouldn't, because we've talked about it a lot. But so what used to happen was, then I started the business and I started training in the gym. And so I was doing both at the same time. So I would work in the business from the hours of 4 a.m. to 7 a.m. And then during the day, Ryan would be working most of the day, but I would have to try and find some time into going to the gym. And I would usually take the kids with me to the gym. I would either put them, in the play group, or I would go put them in like a mini active class. And then I would go to the gym while they were in a mini active class, or I would sit them in the gym on the sofas or on the couches in the gym while I trained, and I would give them their iPads and they could sit and play or whatever. So I made my training and my cardio and my time very important because I was working towards this very emotionally invested goal that I had. And Ryan did not approve because he liked it when I was available all the time for him and I wasn't off in the gym and dinner was on the table every night at the same time because predictability is important when you're a man and you have an appetite. And he did not like me being away on weekends for like, whenever I was dieting for my show, I would have said I'm going to the gym and he would have said, right, see you tomorrow. Because by the time I went to the gym, because I didn't have a treadmill at home, I had no training equipment at home, I would have to drive to the gym, train for an hour, then I would get on the Stairmaster and do another hour in the Stairmaster, and then I would come home. So I'd be away for 3 hours. So Ryan went from being completely free all the time to having to parent his children. I mean, imagine what kind of shit mother was I asking my husband to parent his own children? Honestly, I look back with so many regrets. Not really. So I was away for 3 hours at a time. Ryan was not happy. Ryan was not happy. Do you know Ryan? You know why Ryan wasn't happy? Because I was disrupting his comfort. I was literally, he wanted the world the way he wanted it to be. His wife was home, dinner was on the table, the kids were not watching iPads, they were playing with wooden toys and, and philosophizing about the greater, wider world and playing outside and going to the beach and all these things that their fathers who don't look after the children all the time think that the children should be doing. Not all fathers, but certainly I think it's very easy to have an idealistic view of how you want something to be whenever you're not actually doing the fucking thing. Whereas I was like, sit down, watch Thomas the Tank Engine while I cook. Like I'm running around after 4 kids. So Ryan's life was uncomfortable whenever I started building my business. I was getting up in the morning and waking him up. I mean, imagine waking someone up at 4 a.m. whenever they have the option of going back to sleep. What a terrible wife and mother I was. And then I was making him parent his children for 3 hours regularly. And on the weekends, I wasn't just available at the drop of a hat to get everything ready, to take them swimming, his weekly parenting activity. And his life became more uncomfortable. So in the world, the way he wanted it to be, Kim was not doing all these things. Kim was a yoga teacher, available, stay-at-home mom, not like showing her ass to the world on Instagram. Kim was the person that Ryan married and he wanted her to be. And in reality, this was not Kim. So when Ryan's worlds were aligned, he was so happy. And when Ryan's worlds started to move apart and Kim was in the gym and Kim wasn't there and the kids were watching iPads and the kids were not playing outside and dinner was not on the table when he said it to be, Ryan's worlds were, and the further they went apart, you know what happens? What happens when your worlds slide apart? The further you go like this. The further your worlds slide apart, the more upset you get. Now, I hate to tell you, okay, this isn't just other people. This is also you and me and Laura and Christina and Natalie and Jamie and Rachel and all of the people who work in the company. This is human beings. We are all this way. When the world is the way we want it to be, we're okay. And we're happy. And when the world is not, we're unhappy. So even the fact that you've brought this up, I imagine that there's someone in your life who's tried to dull your sparkle. And when they don't try to dull your sparkle, your worlds are aligned and you're happy. And when they do try to dull your sparkle, your happiness is disrupted. So you have the world the way you want it to be as well. And they have the world they want it to be. And whenever those worlds are not lined up, they're not happy. That's why people want to dull your sparkle, because the world is not the way they want it to be. And it might not even be that you're married to this person and you're off doing things that are making them uncomfortable. It could be that it triggers them. My mother was triggered by the fact that I was going to be standing on stage in a thong in the bikini back pose, showing my ass, showing my vagina basically to the world. That triggered her. And she was like, oh my God, what if someone in the golf club sees my daughter showing her vagina to the world? Like, really, I had a sparkly thong on, but same thing to my mother. So when she saw that, like, she got unhappy and she wanted to try to make me to stop. But she wanted me to stop so she could go back to feeling okay about it. That's why people dull your sparkle. It's nothing to do with you. You're just a trigger walking around doing your thing. And if people get upset with you, it's because you have triggered them. That's why people punish other people as well. So if someone has like a little snide remark about you, or a little, sure you're always late. So let's say you're late somewhere and you show up and someone goes, late again? Sure, you're always late. They're punishing you for being late. You know why? Because you broke one of their rules. They have a rule that people are not late, or they are not late, or whatever rule you broke. But you being late triggered some uncomfortable feeling in them. So do you know what they want you? Do you know what they want to do? They want to punish you so you'll stop being late so they don't have to be triggered and feel the uncomfortable feeling. So anytime we punish someone else or we try to change someone to be not the way they are, it's always because we want to control our uncomfortable feeling. Have you ever tidied your house? Have you ever just felt like completely like you don't know what is going on? This usually happens when we're premenstrual or when we're nesting. And nesting is a different thing when your baby's coming, but I think it's more of a hormonal thing. But have you ever like just gone into, I need this place to be clean, and you start vacuuming and cleaning and you're moving people around and your kids and your husband think you've gone crazy and you're like, you're like a crazy woman possessed cleaning your house. Do you know why people go crazy cleaning their house? Because they're trying to control their internal feeling. So quite often when we're in turmoil or when we're upset about something or when we can't deal with something or we're emotionally charged, we try to start controlling our external environment. And if we can just control our external environment, get everything in order, then we can feel okay on the inside. So we control to feel better. We control to control our fear. We control externally, whether it's our house or our marriage or our husbands or our wives or our children. We control to control our internal feelings. That's all that's happening when someone is trying to dull your sparkle. So whenever you reframe this into, it is nothing about you, nothing. You're just going along your life and then and someone has an emotional reaction to you. You're like, oh, hello. Your disintegration is showing. And you just go along. Like we think that it means something about us. And if they get angry, God forbid, we have an emotional reaction. And then what do we want to do? Well, we want to stop them from being angry so we can stop our internal feeling. So it's like a wee thing in advance, you see? So that's how relationships are. I get angry at you and I'm hoping that my anger will control you. Your anger scares me. Oh my God, now I'm feeling how you were feeling whenever so I did the thing and you had the feeling. So you got angry to try to control me, to stop me doing the thing. I got angry. I want this feeling to go away. So I stopped doing the thing. So you stopped getting angry. So my feeling goes away. This is called marriage. These are relationships. This is how most people do their lives. But not in my company and not in my family. We do it differently. You know what we do? We have this thing. I don't know whether you've ever heard of it or not. Like it's an incredible concept. It's fucking amazing, really, right? And you probably never heard of it. But it's called conversation and communication. Probably a concept you've never heard of. But in my company, when someone triggers someone else, the person goes, oh, wow, I was really triggered by you there. And the other person goes, really? And they're like, yeah, like, or maybe they don't say it straight away, but later on they'll go, do you know what I realized after that thing happened earlier? Like with the window? And I'll be like, what? And they come in, they said to me and they go, I got really, really angry at you. And I'm like, you did? Ooh, juicy. What was the anger? Then I don't know, but like, I wanted to rip your head off. Like, oh, wow, I was really angry. So like, these are the conversations we have in this company. We're just all so open about our feelings and our emotions. And it's so liberating and so freeing because you don't have to walk around suppressing anything. You just have permission to feel joyful every single day. And you can have this in your life too, if you'll only choose to have it. But you have to, I know I'm sounding like a broken record, but you have to get really, really good at having the difficult conversations because conflict happens every single day. And you have to be able to say to the person, I didn't like what you said there. That hurt me. Or could you please not talk to me in that way because I don't talk to you that way. I don't punish my husband ever. I made a commitment years ago whenever I became aware of all of this personal work, that all of these concepts and this way of being, I made a commitment that I wasn't going to punish my husband anymore. And after about 3 months, every time I felt like punishing him or making a snide comment that he was going out or he was out all the time or he wasn't, doing something, anytime I felt the urge to either silently punish him or make a snide comment, I stopped myself and I asked myself, what am I going for here? Why do I need to punish him to make myself feel better? And then what happened is anytime he did it to me, I remember about 3 months later, I wanted to go out and go into yoga or something. And he was like, he made some kind of, for God's sake, you're going to be out again, leaving me with the kids. And I was like, don't do that. And he went, don't do what? And I said, don't punish me. And he went, I'm not. And I said, yes, you are. I said, why shouldn't I go out to yoga? And I said, I don't punish you. So I would appreciate it if you don't punish me. And he goes, yes, you do. I said, no, I used to, but you might not have noticed that I haven't done it once. And I said, I can tell you the date. I'd written down the date when I made the decision to stop. and I stopped punishing him. And the amazing thing is, when you don't punish other people, you can hold them accountable to punish you, because you can't hold someone accountable to the thing that you're doing. You can't smoke and tell your children not to smoke. You can't. The best one I ever saw was I was in a company with a mother, obviously a very emotionally charged mother, and one of her children hit the other children, and she picked the child up and spanked it really hard and said, "Don't hit your brother." And I was like, there's a fucked up adult waiting to happen. I will hit you to teach you not to hit. Like, it's insane. So whenever you don't punish other people, whenever you don't try to dull other people's sparkle, just to go back to the actual question, other people, you can then hold other people accountable to not doing it to you if they're significant. You can say, "Don't do that to me, because I don't do that to you." And they go, "Yes, you do." You go, No, I used to. You're right, but I don't anymore." And it changes everything. This is interesting. Do you have any specific things you do to amp it back down? Amp down the emotion. This is. I feel like a champagne bottle that gets shaken and pops. Or is this just practice and keep it in our consciousness to work on it? This is a really good question. When you feel yourself getting angry, the thing you have to do is acknowledge the anger. Acknowledge the anger. Like, if I ever get angry at my kids, or sometimes, like last night, for example, we were show jumping, and my something happened and it triggered my daughter, and she's 13, and she started like having this long story short, the horse spooked because it was my horse spooked because it was really shadowy, because it had gone dark and they turned on the lights, and he spooked and he refused one of the fences. My horse never refuses fences. He is like the best jumper in the world. And I was really like, oh my God, but I knew it was just the shadow. And so she rides him all the time as well. And she thought that, she jumps him. He's a massive horse, but she jumps him over big fences. And so this triggered her because she sees Big Cat, my horse, as the safest horse in the world. Like, every time she's on BC, she just feels this horse will jump anything. I never need to worry. She feels so safe when she's on Big Cat. And so she started having this really emotional reaction to, oh my God, what happened? Like, you did this and you should have done this and you did whatever. And I was like, Maya, I was like, I didn't. And I was actually talking to her logically, because I didn't realize she was having an emotional reaction. So then she started being like, but no, you did this, that, I knew whatever. And she started like having a go at me, almost like it was your fault and you shouldn't have done this. And I could feel myself getting like, fuck's sake, like, shut up. I could feel myself getting, my color rising, if you like. It didn't feel like anger, but I felt like she was attacking me. And she was, but it's because she was fearful. And so I was about to, like, I got to the point where I was like, Maya, stop. And so it was like rising up in me. And I was like, oh, wow, she's really like, I can really feel myself wanting to say, shut up, like, fucking be quiet. Like, I felt myself wanting to react to her, but I acknowledged what was happening. I realized it was coming up and up and up and up. And I stopped for a minute and I said, Maya, I said, I need you to stop. I said, I know you're having an emotional reaction, but I need you to stop, because now you're triggering me. And she went, well, I'm just saying. And I said, I know you're just saying, but I need you to stop. Can you do that? Can you go? Can you leave me? And she was like, fine, okay. And like, she's not usually very emotional. Like, we have a great relationship, but I recognized her going on and on and on and on at me was because she was having an emotional reaction. I didn't realize it in the time, but I was like, I realized that if she didn't stop, I was going to snap. Or I was going to want to discharge the pain, because that's all it is. You're just wanting to discharge the pain. And I realized if she didn't stop, I was going to want to discharge the pain. So before it got to that point, I dealt with it. And I told her what was happening with me. I said, you're triggering me really badly. And I'm now feeling like I'm going to, like, I need you to stop what you're saying. Can you please just leave? And she was like, what do you mean leave? And I said, just go away. Just take your pony and go and get her sorted. And, we were back at the lorry. And she was like, fine, okay. And she left. And then I was like, oh, fucking hell, wow. So I dealt with the situation. So you have to recognize when it's happening, when it's coming up, and then you have to stop, acknowledge the anger, and take care of yourself. And if someone's going at you, or the situation is, usually we're in a situation with another person, and we're not self-aware enough that we're pushing it and pushing it and pushing it and pushing it. But whenever you become super self-aware and you realize how destructive anger is for other people and for yourself, and how destructive it is for relationships, you can stop yourself before it gets there and practice self-care. Like, open the virtual champagne bottle and, and give a little cheers to yourself and say, wow, I recognize this for myself. And then set some boundaries and say, stop, because I'm getting to a place where I don't want to be, and this isn't how I want to feel. And I actually just need to go and calm down for a second. Is that okay? So you have to acknowledge the feeling and not let yourself get to that point where you snap. And this does take practice, but you can do it with practice. But you just have to be super aware of when you're triggered, and that's often the hardest part for people because we're so cut off from ourselves emotionally. We don't even know when we're triggered. We don't. I say to people, were you angry? They're like, no, no, no. I'm not angry. I think I was just a little bit annoyed. Like, no matter how you dress it up, that's anger. So you have to be really, really self-aware. Really self-aware. So many, so many, so many, so many questions. I'm just trying to choose ones that I haven't really covered. Oh my God, it's 5 to 5 already. I talk so much. I don't even recognize the time. Right. What else have we got? I'm just trying to choose some ones that I haven't covered because a lot of the questions here I'm seeing I actually have covered in what I've been saying today. And okay, here's one I just caught the sight of. May I ask how to get into the mindset to push past the burning pain when doing sets or heavy weights, pushing past the discomfort? So there shouldn't, Debbie, if you're lifting weights correctly, there shouldn't be any burning pain. Burning pain, there's two different ways to build muscle. There's metabolic stress and mechanical stress. Mechanical stress is where you move a heavy load through a full range of motion. So it's when, say, you squat. So you have the bar on your back, you go all the way down to full depth and all the way back up again with a heavy load. That's mechanical stress. It's the fastest, most effective way to build muscle because you rip the muscle fibers, you stretch them through their full range of motion, you rip the muscle fibers, and then you with a very heavy load. So you're literally overloading the muscle. You don't need to do any time under tension. You don't need to go slower. See all this time under tension? Time under tension always makes me laugh whenever people are like, "Oh, I implemented time under tension in order to get a better workout today." I'm like, well, here's the thing about time under tension. See, when you have a really fucking heavy load on your shoulders or on your arms or on your glutes, that weight is not going to move fast. Like, think about it for a second, okay? I will squat, like on the incline hack squat, I will squat 200 kilos. I'm back up to 220 kilos next week. I will squat 200 kilos. It's 440 pounds. When I go to the bottom of that incline hack squat, I ain't getting up fast. So I have an enormous amount of time under tension, not because I'm applying it unnaturally to my movement, but because it's there because of the load that I have. So when you apply a massively heavy load, time under tension is created without you having to artificially create it. Okay. People who have to artificially create time under tension, unless you don't have a spotter or you're working around an injury or something, artificially created time under tension is is honestly just usually used by people who aren't willing to lift a very heavy load. And I get it. Not everybody likes to lift a really heavy load, but it is the fastest way to build muscle if that's your goal. The second way to build muscle is metabolic stress. So metabolic stress is where you go for higher reps or time under tension, or which is just basically slower reps, or all of those different techniques that people use to try to create more burn in the muscle. Now, if you're training at home with resistance bands, or you are, you only have light dumbbells, then of course, if you don't have access to load, then of course, time under tension is going, or not time under tension, sorry, higher reps and higher volume is more sets and more reps is going to be the best way that you can build muscle. So what happens in metabolic stress is, metabolic stress is you put tension on the muscle and the metabolites inside the muscle become shaken like this and they start to release lactic acid, and that causes damage to the muscle fibers. But it causes minimal damage to the muscle fibers because you're not ripping them, you're simply shaking them. Now, the shaking of them will cause them to release lactic acid. The lactic acid causes a burn in the muscle. So whenever we feel a burn in our quad or a burn in our glutes, we think it's really, really working. Well, it's not, because it's not that it's not working, but it's not working as effectively as mechanical stress. So the program, the way that we teach in all of our programs is mechanical stress. Why? Because it's the fastest way to build muscle. But during mechanical stress, your muscles will not burn. There will be no burning and no pain because it'll just be hard to move the bloody thing. Okay. And you have to keep your mind in the game to keep pushing, or to keep pushing in the squat or to keep pulling in a back exercise, you have to keep it requires more mental strength, and physical strength, of course, to move it, but more mental strength to keep going. But if you're feeling a burn in your muscles, it's probably because you are using metabolic stress, which does work. But it's my belief that it should only be used if there are no other options available, because there are much, 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 much faster ways to build muscle if building muscle is your goal. Now, if building muscle isn't your goal and gym is your happy place and you just want to go and have fun and you're not really interested in lifting heavy weights and you just want to feel a bit better about yourself, I totally support that. Totally support that. But I guess what kind of gets my goat a wee bit is when people are like, oh, I'm working really hard in the gym. And then I see them with like five kilo dumbbells. And I'm like, no, you're not. But anyway, maybe they think they're working hard, but there's always harder. There's always ways that you can work harder. So, okay, I'm going to step off my soapbox now. You see, I don't get riled about very many things, but I have to say the whole, here's what actually, I don't get angry, by the way. I'm teasing about the way I'm talking about it here, but I guess the thing that I would love to change more than anything in the world is people lying to themselves, because I am all for somebody being completely honest about why they're doing something. Now, I understand why people aren't honest. They want to pretend, and you've been through this week with me, so you guys know, people want to pretend that they're doing more than they're doing. And so they want to pretend that they're working as hard as they can work because they don't want people to judge them. And that's because they're judging themselves. But if someone is willing, like I have people say to me all the time, you should do this or you should do that, or you should, have more compassion and not send, emails with titles, telling people they're fat. And I just say, yeah, you're probably right. Probably should. I just let them be right. Or people say to me, I do get it all the time on Instagram. Oh, you should be doing this differently. You should be slowing the rep down. You should be working more on your form. And I'm like, okay, sure. Yeah, whatever you say. No problem. But you're right. I probably should. I just tell them they're right. They probably should. And they don't know how to cope with that. But the way I do it works for me. And I've built an enormous amount of muscle in the time that I've been training. And it's worked for all the women that I've coached online, hundreds of thousands of them, and they've built enormous amounts of muscle and they enjoy it and it works for me and I love it. And I like to get the fastest results possible in the shortest amount of time. So that also works for me. But then there's other people who don't want to train that way, who watch me doing my squats, my workouts and go, no way would I ever want to do that, because it scares the shit out of them. So those people love doing their, metabolic stress and their time under tension and their resistance bands and their cable exercises and whatever floats their boat. And if someone's just willing to say, you know what, this works for me and I love it, then fucking bravo, you rock on. I just, the reason why I get like, I'm poke fun at or whatever is just because I guess people just aren't willing to be honest about what it is they're going for. And they lie to themselves and they say, a lot of people aren't self-aware enough to say, I'm just not willing to work any harder. And there's no judgment in that. It's like me with my Spanish course. I just wasn't willing to put in the time to learn Spanish. And I didn't feel bad about it. I really didn't feel bad about it at all. Or if I had done the Spanish course once a month or once a week and after a year, I'd only learned like 10 words. Well, sure. Well, you know what? I'd be able to say, yeah, I know if I put in more effort, I probably could get better results, but I can't expect results I didn't get from work I didn't put in. And that's the bottom line. So just know that your body will never lie to you. Your results will never lie to you. In bodybuilding, you will get exactly the results you deserve and no more. So this goes back to the earlier question about disappointment. A lot of people in bodybuilding get disappointed because it takes so long to build muscle and so long to lose body fat. But you can't be disappointed about results you didn't get from work you didn't do. Your body will only give you what you deserve. But we live in a world of quick fixes and fast food and dopamine hits from social media. We want everything quick, fast. We want everything fast and quick. And we're used to taking diet pills and I don't know, different things that people do to shortcut the results. But even if you take anabolic steroids, and a lot of people love to judge people online and they go, oh yeah, well, she just took steroids. You can't lie in bed and eat cheesy puffs and as Mark always says, and inject yourself with steroids and grow muscle. Even if someone does take steroids, they still have to work for the muscle. If you take steroids, muscle doesn't grow if you're lying down doing nothing. It only grows if you're working in the gym. Does it make it grow faster? Yes. Do you recover faster? Yes. But that doesn't mean the people who take steroids don't work. So that's another thing that really gets my goat as well. Whenever people are, they just call, oh yeah, just well, she took steroids. I'm like, well, she may have taken steroids, but like, or he may have taken steroids, but that doesn't mean he didn't work, So in bodybuilding, you only get the results that you deserve. You don't get the results that you don't deserve. And that is the final thought that I'm going to finish on today. Guys, you are amazing. I can't believe we had like another 200 people on live here today. It's been consistently astonishing numbers showing up live and thousands watching the replays. I'm really just honestly inspired and blown away by how committed you guys have been to this and how committed you continue to be. And for those of you who've shown up every day or watched the lives or, and kept up with the material and done the homework, I just want to give you a wee round of applause. And I know that tomorrow we haven't finished. We'll have another day tomorrow, but I just want to give you a wee midweek round of applause because you are truly amazing. We had, like I said, we have nearly 28,000 people in this challenge group. And out of those people and the extra, I think this was a group that we had before that we just used for this challenge. We had another 10,000 people sign up for the challenge. And out of 10,000 people, you guys showed up and did the homework and committed and were here for yourselves every single day. And genuinely, you deserve a round of applause. You deserve to give yourself a pat on the back for that. Even if you are grossly obese or overweight and you think you have such a long way to go, the fact that you showed up for yourself every day here really means something. It means that you were committed in a way that others weren't. And you genuinely need to recognize what that means and give yourself a pat on the back for it. So I just want to give you a midweek pat on the back. Tell you, I'm proud of you. Even if you're not proud of yourself, I'm proud of you. In fact, we're all proud of you. Everyone here in Team Sculpt to Vegan is proud of you. We're all your biggest cheerleaders. Even though we've never met you in person, we all love you. And we're going to come back here tomorrow, midday. It's going to be party day. I might even wash my hair. You might see me with long hair tomorrow. I like to make an effort for like the final day. I like to wash my hair, although it's going to be 27 degrees here tomorrow. So I might just might just melt into a puddle. But we're going to meet back here tomorrow, midday. We're going to possibly have a party at 4 p.m. I'm sure there's going to be champagne and definitely party poppers. And we're gonna have so much fun tomorrow. And we're gonna wrap this all up, this whole challenge. We're gonna open the 4-week shredded body for those of you who are gonna join. We're gonna have a special party for you guys. We're gonna give away 1-to-1 coaching sessions on both of the lives. And honestly, you'd be mad to miss it. You really would be mad to miss it. So I hope to see you live. And if I don't, I'll see you in the replay. And just want to say thanks again for showing up and being here and being your best selves and bringing your best selves and all your questions because I've truly loved answering them. Okay. I'm sending you big hugs and kisses. Lots of love from me and from the whole team. And I will see you guys tomorrow at midday. Be there or be square. Okay. Have a fabulous rest of the day wherever you are in the world. Love you loads. And I'll see you tomorrow. Okay. Bye.